It's Friday, it's Email and Coffee with Joy Brooks, and today I'm talking with Kath Pay, someone I've met once or twice before and have followed since the inception of email marketing. Kath, tell us a little bit about yourself. Go
Well,
ahead.
I'm originally from Australia, and then I moved over to England because I brought my business over, which was an email service provider back then called EasyMail. It was one of the original ones, and then I have subsequently moved to Antigua, so I'm pretty international, but I still only speak English. As, yeah. Anyhow, so I bought Easymail over to England. That was in 2004. Originally had started doing email marketing. Sort of officially launched Easymail in 1998. So I've been doing email for quite a while, a couple of years before then as well with other clients that I had. And then over time, I decided actually, do you know what? The thing I really love the most is helping the marketers and helping the brands themselves and helping the consumer. So I just want to do consulting. So then I started doing consulting and still doing it to this day. I do a lot of teaching, which I'm very, very passionate about because I love educating the industry. I love educating marketers. I really, really want to, help everyone to achieve what they set out to achieve, what they need to achieve, but with a consumer focus to it, right? So, yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Do. I'm still incredibly passionate about email because one of the things about email is it is ever changing, right? And Joy, you've been in it long enough. You know,
Yeah.
doesn't everyone say to you, how can you be in the same industry for so long? Aren't you bored? And I'm like, how can I be bored? There's so much more to learn. Consumers, how they use email change. The tech is changing. The marketers and how they're advanced and their approaches are changing. There's so many changes. You can't get bored.
It's email is, very similar to well, like advertising or print, right? If you're passionate about um, doing that type of work. If you're in printing and you're passionate about publishing, the odds are you're going to stay in the industry, and the tools are going to change. The same thing, with print or publishing or advertising. And email really is a combination of many things. It's print, where 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 print went after it went digital.
Yeah,
It's publishing, where magazines went after digital. It's advertising,
yeah,
when we took it from the city, Madison Avenue, when it went digital again, everything ended up in email marketing, and it's just such a fabulous medium to
yes.
do things where you can do it plain and simple. You could do it cold. You could splash. You could, you can create the Mona Lisa in email. You don't
Mhm.
have to, but you can.
Yeah, yeah. And,
And
and and I think that's one of the things about email though too is because and that's one of the things that keeps me engaged all the time and like you said passionate about email is there are so many factors that are involved in email and for you to become a master from each of those things, so creative, copy, coding, um, understanding your data and being able to manipulate data, reading the analytics and being able to interpret it and then get that analysis happening and come up with then ideas and hypotheses to be tested. There are so many facets that we all should start to try and become masters of, and I think that's what keeps me engaged. And one of the things too with email, right, because it's not an owned channel. So it's not a Facebook owned, it's not, LinkedIn owned, it's not Twitter owned. No one owns it. So there is no guidebook. There is no guidebook. There is no sort of like, this is how you should use it, this is what you should do. The only guidebook is really all the legislations out there saying, listen, you can do this, but don't do this. So
right.
and then everything else is open for us and our
And
company.
your audience.
Yes,
What, you're
make
matching
it for
you're
ourselves.
matching the style of your audience. So whatever, whatever. I've seen some pretty wild concepts for email.
Yes,
Um, and it's whatever you can dream up, and whoever wants to sign up
yeah,
to that. And that relationship is pretty unique. And as you said, that's why it is so exciting, because you're dealing with different people. You're just not dealing with the same people over and over again. You could be in chemicals, or you could be in shoes, or you could be in fine art. You could be in the supermarket. Any of your customers, or all of your customers, nonprofit. I mean, I literally have had every type of client you could possibly imagine. And that's why it's exciting, because everyone says, well, what should I do? What does everyone do? What does everyone do? There's no such thing as everyone. It's like, who's your audience? You may say, oh, well, my demographic is this. Yeah, but your demographic may be in Cleveland, and this demographic may be in Florida, and that demographic may be in Russia. They're
yeah,
not the same demographic. Maybe you may think it is, but it's not. So
yeah.
so everything is different, and you don't know until you start playing with it. It's almost like, for me, it's almost like playing in dirt. You don't know what's going to grow out of that until you start playing with the dirt.
That's it. That's it. And I think one of the problems, though, there are many problems with email. One, email is its own worst enemy because it can give really good results with doing a very average job, right? So just because of that innate nature of it, it's that push channel. Okay, so we can become quite complacent because hey, we're delivering better return on investment than any other channel within the business. So we kind of rest on our laurels there and everything. And also, though, and I'm not putting this all down to the marketers because also the C suite are often to blame too because they're like, well, you are delivering much higher return on investment than any other channel. Okay. So why should we put more budget in there? Because you can't possibly deliver even higher return on investment. There, it's inconceivable to them, right? So in some ways, email is its own worst enemy. But this is where we as marketers, get passionate, get, sort of stuck into emails and ask lots of questions. I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I had that tech. I wonder if I changed the strategy, the frequency, maybe I need to check my data and everything. There are so many, elements to it that, yeah, like I said, we can work with. And it's just never ending. It's so fun.
And as I've often said to some people who are doing their marketing, and they're getting fairly decent results, and they're throwing it against the wall, literally throwing it against the wall. I'm like, could you imagine if you actually focused on what you were doing? Can you imagine what you would get out of this?
That's it. Yes.
It's not so much to just think that instead of writing quick content, if you sat down and you built a strategy from the beginning, and then began to apply your content to that strategy, created designs that revolved, if you actually did something, watched the analytics that came in and
Yeah.
then reacted to them one way or the other, set up your strategy so that when you get a reaction, you have an idea, okay, let's take a left turn because that's what I was expecting. If
Yeah.
they were to hit that mark, that's where we're going with this, you know, but it's so easy to do nothing and get a result that most people don't do anything.
Yeah, yeah. But also, let's put it out there. Email is more often than not under resourced, under budgeted, and there for years. I haven't seen one out recently, but for years, reports would come out. E-consultancies, email marketing census for one that I can think of, and what it would do, it would ask the marketers about the budget and it would ask about the return on investment, and then it overlaid each other compared to other channels. So everyone else, all the other channels are getting increased budget, and they're delivering still a low return on investment. Emails delivering the highest return on investment is got the lowest budget, and it's very, 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 very frustrating. And what that means then, as the marketer, is literally slammed just trying to get the emails out there, much less than optimize, much less than review the analytics and start formulating those hypotheses and start questioning things and everything. So, it can be a challenge. And that's why I spend a lot of my time with my clients actually putting together like business cases. So
Hmm.
to pitch for more money, to pitch for understanding, more resources, more positions, things like that. So yeah, but I still love it. I love it. I love it loads.
I find it difficult, honestly. Is it a sickness? I find it difficult to pull away.
All right.
I really do. I find it very difficult to pull away. Um, I'm a developer, or at least that's where I started. So
Yes.
when I came into the industry, I came in as a developer,
Yes.
and I had roots in print, so I was also um, layout and design.
Yes.
So it worked for me. I mean, it was literally a completely transferable skill.
Yeah. Oh,
Totally,
absolutely. Absolutely.
totally transferable.
Yeah.
So and I realized that, and I was like, I'm going to run with this. It's in the beginning. I have no competition. Um, and oddly, and you could speak to this. Oddly, it was a woman's arena. Oddly, all of the other people that I was working with in in email marketing were women.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was, I don't know if it was because they they wanted to pay them less money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because it was a multitasking environment,
Yes.
and generally speaking, men like don't necessarily they do. I'm an accountant. Well, what do you do? I do accounting, right? Do you do presentations? No, I have a secretary that does the presentations. I don't do the presentations. So, but we were doing everything,
Yes.
right? So we were creating the designs, we were writing the content, we were setting it up, we were shipping it out, we were talking with the clients because I was working with other people, and it just seemed like that environment kept going, and it's only now that it's changing again. I think it's changing because of the technology. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the drag and drops are allowing different people, allowing it to be easier, the steps to be easier, and allowing different people to come in. Um, where I'm seeing more men than I had before. Before I literally, my team was all women.
Okay, so it sounds like you were the anomaly because I can remember when I was starting out, I was the anomaly, the only woman speaker, the only woman author, the only, this was in Australia and then over to England. And then I was able to sort of see when I came over to America in particular. So in England, I was still the only woman. But when I came over to the American conferences, there were a few others. The Karen Talavera, there was Samantha Miller, and there was Jean Jennings, right? And these people were speaking on stage, right? Same as me, because before I'd be going to conferences, and I'm the only woman speaker there, and it was quite different. So, but I think what we're talking about is it's like it's the seniority of the positions. Yes, you tended to
I was the doer.
you had a lot of the doers were female, and the seniors were the male. Yeah,
Male.
yes.
Let's not forget Justine Jordan with Litmus.
Well, she came in years later. Yeah,
Yes.
she came in years later, and yeah, and she
And what about Roz from
oh, from Campaign Monitor.
yes.
Yes, Roske. Yep, she came in years later as well. Although Campaign Monitor started off fairly early, fairly young.
And they started in didn't they start in Australia?
Yeah,
It's an
they're
Australian product.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They started up after I'd moved to England, so it must have been after 2004 or something.
Hmm.
But because I didn't sort of get to sort of liaise with them over in Australia. I liaised with them in England, but not in Australia. So Yeah, but yeah, it's funny how it shifts and changes, and now you're more likely to find the marketing director or the CRM director or something. It's actually going to be female. So
Yes, it has shifted.
it's really, really nice. Yes. And then, I mean, I myself have um, helped both male and female marketers become speakers. I have also trained a lot of amazing people, both male and female, sort of in courses and everything, but also in working environments. And I did an interview the other day with one of them, and he came in. He was absolutely lovely. He came in to an agency that I was working with, and he was doing the QA, QA, and that was what he did. That's all he did, and there was something about him, and I took an interest in him. And every time I was doing some training with him, he really latched onto it, and I could see that now he's risen up and risen up and risen up. And I think this is all to do. It's no longer anything to do with male or female. It's to do with how passionate you are.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely.
You know?
It's a fascinating industry. It's exploded, and it exploded globally, and exploded globally exponentially. So, um, India's picked it up and run with it,
Mm.
and the international. I mean, the Ukraine, Russia picked it up and ran with it. So there's incredible industries and opportunities everywhere at
Yes.
this point.
And let me tell you about that. So being based in England, they often asked me to come to all those Eastern European countries. So I've spoken basically in all of them. I've spoken in Latvia, Bulgaria, Romania, Czech Republic,
Estonia.
Russia, Estonia. Yeah, you name it, all of them, right? And the one thing that I found was very excited by email. And the second thing was they didn't have the legacy systems that we in the West had to deal with. So at that time when I was doing it, when it was just brand new in the Eastern European countries, they didn't have those legacy tech problems that, sort of like the not joined up, or there was limitations, or when the systems first came out, the email marketing systems first came out, they were very campaign oriented and they weren't subscriber oriented. So these guys built themselves amazing tech, having learnt from from all of our failures and all of our good things that we've been doing over the years. And they were to be able to do that, and they just ran with it like crazy. So they got up to here where it took us years and years and years. That within 3 years they were achieving amazing results just because of that passion, and because they weren't being hindered by that archaic
Hmm.
tech that we had to sort of wrangle ourselves out of
Hmm.
over the years to be able to, get it. That's what I was saying, like building the business cases, right?
Right. And one of the interesting things is that ESPs come in different flavors, and they really, it's not just about, the services and the fees that they ask. They start in a niche, and they address a certain industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that so they can launch their business. Obviously, you can't come out and launch a product and say it's for everyone,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go anywhere. So they'll come out and they'll address a specific industry, and that can obviously hinder them 5 years down the line if they don't get that exposure and get that industry's buy-in. But if they do get that industry's buy-in and they do become a solid product for that industry, it's quite um, it's quite an interesting business model. For example, when a product like Active Campaign came out,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was for cold email, because it funneled it in such a way innately, literally came out of the box with these incredible funnels
Yeah.
and tags. And I was like, wow. now, now Active Campaign is competing broadly because they realize they just can't stay in that B2B space. They want to compete. And that's what happened to MailChimp as well.
Yes, yes.
MailChimp said, I can't compete in the small business space anymore because
But
there
then,
are other up and coming products.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think that's as it should be. Unfortunately, does that mean that some businesses will go out? Some ESPs will get bought up and legacy, become legacies. Yes, that is business. That
Yeah,
is the way it works.
yeah. Well, and that's it, and that's what we can see year after year as well. But for as many acquisitions that happen, and it looks like we're kind of like shrinking because everyone's being bought out, we also then get new providers. But there'll be new, innovative providers that often will be um, tapping in and latching onto and working with the ESP. And I've got to say, I do love that model. That I call it a best of breeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to, because with some of the big enterprise ESPs, there's a reason why you have to go and get certification, and training
Yes.
and everything,
Yes.
because the systems are so complicated. And
Yes.
so then what happens is that I find the marketers tend to be more system oriented, tech
Yes.
oriented, tech focused. What can I do with this tech rather than what does my audience need? What do we need for the business to achieve our goals? They tend to be so I tend to not direct my customers that way. I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
let's find you a really, really suitable mid-sized system, and then we can go and find all the other additional amazing latest tech that's out there to help you to achieve your strategy, your
Mm-hmm.
goals and objectives and everything. And it works really, really well. And it also enables you to stay more nimble, more agile. I was going to put the two words together, nimble. So agile and nimble, and
It also, yeah, and it
responsive.
lets you pivot. It lets you pivot
Yeah,
when you have to
yeah,
quickly pivot.
yes,
Because COVID taught us anything,
yes.
it taught us um, how to make the best out of the worst possible situation.
That's it. And don't take anything for granted. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, a company like Zoom, that was yet another conference call
Yeah.
software that, okay, I have this version, I have that version. They're all built on the same technology, and it was just hanging out there became this huge, huge thing that saved us.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's very similar to what email marketing does in every market it's in, because it solves a particular problem in a particular way dependent upon the brand, the audience,
Yeah.
and the mindset of all those people involved.
Yes.
And it can do as much or as little, unfortunately, as little as you push it,
Hmm.
and it pivots instantly because it's the most flexible thing in the world.
That's it. That's it.
It's not
That's
like
it.
social that takes you do social and it you could put something out on social and it becomes alive itself. And now you're in a place where, oh my God, we just took ourselves into this place. Now we have to backtrack our way out. Email isn't like that. You send the message out, and as long as you're in your right mind,
Yes.
everyone's waiting for the next message.
Yes.
But you could do one tweet or one social post, and suddenly you're in risk management.
Yes. Yes. But also with social and like with SEO as well. Um, there are formulas. There are formulas, known formulas, and you follow those formulas, and you're going to be fine. We have a few formulas like get authenticated, you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and keep your list clean and stuff.
Yes, and
But
if you send out X many, you probably get X many sales.
yeah, yeah. So it's because I used to be a before I did email marketing, I was a web designer. So I started off pretty much the same as you, so design and coding, and then which is a funny story actually because I just had my last child, my third child, and I'm going. I want to find a job that I can do from home. I just want to sort of. I've got three kids. I just want to take it easy, to find something. And I went, oh, I'll become a graphic designer because I've been an interior designer, I've been a photographer, I'd always been in the creative side. So I went, well, graphic design, computers had just come out, right? Getting a home computer. And I used to slam my home computer all the time I'd kill it. I'd literally kill it because I'm trying to make it do too much. Anyhow, so I thought, well, I'll become a graphic designer and, well, I need a website. Latest thing, you need a website. This is talking about 1994. Right? So I'm going to go do a website. I'll better do a course because you didn't have, well, you had Front Page. Do you remember Front Page?
Oh, I remember Front Page.
Oh, yeah, you had Front Page. And Dreamweaver had just come out.
But I think the Front Page, it was, yeah, what was before Dreamweaver?
Yeah,
Front Page was pretty much it.
yeah, yeah. So anyhow, so I went to a course and I learnt to code from scratch, HTML.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I went and started building my own website. And what happened then was I got addicted. I just fell in love with coding. And so that's how that happened. So forget about being a graphic designer. I was a web designer instead. So, yeah, so I was able to bring across those skills as well within email marketing. And that really, really helped. But then I sort of just kept on going and then I went, oh, it's a strategy that excites me. I found out that I was I don't know, natural born marketer or something, or that's what thrilled me. Don't know how good I am, but that's what I really enjoyed, and so doing it for that reason. But yeah, it's email has
I
just
think it's all pragmatic minds. I think the coding is, I mean, you do it this way. You start here, you do this, you do this, you do this. And that thought process behind coding ends up um, flowering out into, okay, so wait a minute, you start with strategy. Let's talk about, what. Oh, wait, before that, let's talk about goals. I mean, all of these are pragmatic steps that you take.
yeah,
So it's a natural type of process. It's not just advertising. So that creative is different, because those are you're brainstorming, you're thinking literally wild and crazy things, and you don't necessarily need to prove it out or even come up with a way of doing it. You have to come up with an idea. Oh, I've got a great idea. We're going to do this. Well,
yes,
how do you do that? I don't know. Ask her. So, I think very pragmatically, and I also think of I'm also risk management, so I know what I wouldn't want to do. I know the steps to get there, so that again, a project manager, I can make it happen.
yeah,
The only thing that I'm not wildly creative. I can come up with concepts, so I can come up with creative content, written content, but not designer layout. I'm
right,
not visually creative.
yes, okay,
That is where I draw the line where I say that's not one of my good things.
yeah,
But I can come up with content. I can write something up. Again, I try not to. I'm a unicorn.
yes,
I'm the email unicorn. I
yes.
try not to sell that because they'll throw it at me. Okay, do it all.
Do it
All
all.
right, I guess I'm doing it all. I mean, I can launch it. I can migrate it. I can manage the data. I can segment the data. I can I can come up with a strategy. I could do it all. Um, and I enjoy doing it all. You just can't do that for more than a few people.
Mm,
So I can only have 5 clients
yeah,
at that level.
yeah, exactly.
And if I drop that and I say, well, I want to be an overview, then I'm not enjoying it anymore. So I'm
Mm,
like, okay, I found my niche. This is my niche. And that, brings us sort of back to the conversation when you said that you began to travel, teach, and, talk and teach other people. And I was at that level around 2006. And I thought to myself, let's see if I can go to the next level. And I realized I don't want to,
Mm.
right?
It's not for everyone. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And I had to come to terms with that. I thought, what's wrong with me? And I saw a lot of peers going up, and there was a little bit of jealousy for a while, a little bit of frustration. I've come to terms with it though, and I'm very happy with where I'm at
Yes. Yeah.
because it was meant to be the way it is,
Yeah.
right? But you had to travel, and you've traveled quite a lot. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
you're always on the road. How many shows, how many conferences have you been to this year?
Oh, this year alone, I don't know, a lot less. Since I moved to Antigua, I'm doing less. So I'm saying no. I really only go to the ones that I really want to go to. When I
Mm-hmm.
lived in London, oh shoot, I was traveling every month multiple times. I was doing multiple conferences, different countries all the time. Um,
And that's exciting. I'm not. It's just.
no, no, absolutely. And you know what? Some of it for me, because I used to be a singer, so I'm used to performing. So that whole stage performance thing, I guess, is also a bit of an addiction, right? I'm
Mhm.
used to it. And people say to me, because this is one thing, they always think that I'm really, really outgoing. I'm not, I'm an introvert. But you get me on stage, you got a different person. And then the passion for email comes out, and I'm as home, just really, really happy and at ease on stage. And I absolutely love it. But I think my past experience with singing on stage does help. Um, Not that I'm a sort of like an amazing performer or anything like that. So I think as a speaker, I'm not necessarily the best speaker. I'm not necessarily the most because everything I do is always ad lib. I'll put together a presentation and I won't look at it for 3 weeks and then I go on stage and it's the first time I've seen it in 3 weeks. And then I'm just going because that's my knowledge. That's and I work best that way as well. If you give me something, okay, like for today, if you sent me over a list of questions, these are the questions we're going to be looking at, talking to, I wouldn't even look at them. I'm sorry, that's just the way it was. You didn't do it, but I wouldn't have looked at them anyhow because I'm very much, I like things to be more organic like that. And
Mhm.
that's just who I am and how I am. And again, it's like, I know it's not 100% perfect, but I've accepted that's who I am and that's how
Mhm. Mhm.
I am.
Mhm.
And so either love me for it or don't.
Yeah, but the I think the persona is works. You know what I'm saying? If they wanted a motivational speaker, they wouldn't be going to you. If they wanted somebody who would be able to get people passionate about email, they would go to you.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a difference. You're not this motivational speaker that's getting people um, motivated about work.
no.
You're specifically telling people there's a passion in email and I'm going to share it with you, right? And
Exactly.
that's the motivation, but
Yes,
it's a slightly different persona.
yes,
And what I noticed, and I don't know if it's just email, but the email conferences, when they took off, they created something, a self-aware, where marketing used to be something that helped advertising and sales. Email marketing created an industry that was aware of itself, that was feeding itself. The email marketing conferences, there are no advertising conferences. There are no there are no what there are other trade shows that happen,
yeah.
but it's odd that there's an email marketing industry that's self-aware and markets itself.
But also, we govern ourselves as well. We're not sitting here going, oh, darn, there's more privacy laws. Oh, darn, we can't do this. Oh, darn, there's legislation in place. We're kind of like, okay, do you know what? Thinking about it, that's actually going to help our consumers. And in turn, it will, if we apply ourselves correctly, it will actually help us, and it helps the industry. Because when we first started out, remember, um, so around 2003, the Australian Privacy Act came on in, and then so did the UK one, and I think 2004 the Spam Act, Can Spam Act, that came on in. So this all started happening because spam was a big problem, remember? And we always used to get called, oh, so you're the one that sends me that spam. So there was a little bit of us self-governing or need to self-govern as well. But now we're all on board with making this happen, making it work for the betterment of the industry, the betterment for our consumers, because we know at the end of the day, if our consumers are happy with what we're doing, then we will get the benefit. We will sell our products. We will learn to engage them and everything, and build that relationship via email. And so, whereas a lot of other industries they're not self-governed. They don't do things like that. And I think to a certain degree, you're saying about the different conferences. There was one particular conference that I used to go to all the time, a Media Post conference, EIS, absolutely fantastic conference. And they used to have search conferences. They had every kind of other conference. And they would come and they said, you know what, email's our favorite because you guys are tight. You guys love being with each other. You guys love helping to educate each other because we were all there wanting to achieve the same result. Whereas all the other ones are there going, you're my enemy. You're my
You were
competitor.
competing.
Like that. Whereas we're kind of like, this thing is bigger than all of us. There's enough here for all of us to be happy. We don't have to look at each other as competitors, and therefore we're all working together in the industry. And you know what? Even since we have resolved that big initial challenge of spam, we are still like that. And I think that's what makes this industry truly unique, and it's really, really lovely. So
And the fact that we all hate Microsoft.
yeah.
And Microsoft knows it.
Well,
Like, oh, how can we screw around with them this year? Well, we're gonna go backwards again. You're gonna go backwards. You went forwards last year. Why are you going backwards now?
I know. I know.
It's it's probably difficult for, or is it difficult for someone who's doing the work but wants to get in the circuit? I mean, how did you just jump into the circuit? How did that happen?
Oh, that's so weird. You know what? I've always, I don't know what it is, but I've always went, oh, that looks really good. If they can do it, I can do it. So I just had that attitude. I didn't think, wait on, I'm only seeing men on stage and I'm a woman. I won't be accepted. I was just like, I want to be up there. I want to. And it was that passion of like, I found something new and exciting. I want to write about it. And then because think about it, right? I've always only worked for my own companies with no budget, very small, boutique ESP, boutique consultancy, everything like that. So it's not like I can pay to speak. So every single one that I've spoken at, I've earned my place, and more often than not, actually being paid to actually speak there as well. So for me, it was just a case of I have a lot that I want to give to the industry, and giving, either writing or presenting, gives me that voice that I need to get the information out. So, and to a certain degree, a lot of this has, which is why I've still got boutique ones. One, I like the size of the boutique consultancy and everything, but also I do spend a lot of my time I've just got a heart for the industry and for the marketers and everything. So I don't always sell when I should be selling. And I think that also helped me because I knew, oh, she's not going to come on and do a pitch. She's never pitched on stage at all. So that helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
But And then I guess, like I said, it was that confidence thing. It was that, okay, well, this is what I need to do. I didn't even think about it. That's I literally did not ever sort of go, what do I do? How do I do it? I just did it.
There's it's I see a lot of call for speakers, and that's I suspect the best way for people to break in, right? But I'd say that it's not it's not it's a slightly different um, job, and if you really want to be happy at it, or if you, in other words, when I thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to take it on the road. Let's see if I could take it on the road, and I realized, well, I'll need to be able to enjoy traveling, and I'll need to be able to think on my feet, and I'll need to be able to come up with interesting ways to discuss the same thing. And I'll need to, and I'm like, oh gosh,
Right.
I don't know if that's what I want to do.
So I love all those three things.
Right, exactly. And I thought, well, maybe that's what I want to do. And then being pragmatic, okay, this is the path.
Yes.
And I think that's what people need to think about. I think there is a growth and a path
Yes.
and a career to be had.
Yes.
But you need to fit, you need to think it out and have that personality. You have to take control of that. I mean, no one else is going to tell you necessarily what to say. You're going to have to come up with it yourself. They're going to do a call for speakers, and you're going to raise your hand, and they're going to say, well, what are you going to speak about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. And if you're going to succeed, and you can, somebody like Chad White, right? Right. Because you're unique and you know your shit. Okay. That's the concept. You're unique and you know it. You know your topic and you could take it on the road. And
Yes.
when somebody asks you a question, you're not like, that's not in the script. I don't know the answer to that question. You've got to be able to come up with the script.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was talking to someone the other day and I was going, because I was saying, when I'm speaking, it's so nice to have, and I don't care if you're my competitor and that. If I'm saying something and in the audience, you actually say, oh, yes, well, this happened to me the other day, and they were a consultant as well, and they gave their support for what I was saying, an example of theirs. I'm kind of like, bring it on. That's great. But at the same time, if you want to challenge me, bring that on as well. I'm absolutely fine with that. And I think that's one of the things that's like you're touching on now. What makes a thought leader, right? So I am totally honored to have been given that title by the ANA in 2021, the Email Marketing Thought Leader, right? Blew me away. And Chad actually was one of the ones that there were a few people that nominated me. Andrew Bonar did, Chad White did, and someone else. And you know what? I didn't even know that they did, right? So I was completely and utterly unaware about that. But to be nominated by your peers like that, how amazing. And it got me thinking about it because you have to write speech and everything. And it got me thinking about it. And I went, there's the road to becoming a thought leader. There are stages, right? You don't just sort of wake up one day and say, I'm going to become a thought leader and that's it, right? You kind of grow your way there. So the first one is, and hands up, I did this. I was, oh my goodness, such a fan of Lauren McDonald, Stephen Pollard. I've read everything they ever wrote, So this is back in the way before 2000s. And I'm absorbing all of this and I absolutely love it. And then that gave me food for thought and I learned a lot from them. But then I started writing and I am repackaging and regurgitating what they were saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that regurgitation, it's a horrible word, I know, but basically that's repackaging. Let's say repackaging what is out there. That's generally the first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't comfortable for doing that for very long because it wasn't my insight, wasn't my knowledge, but I knew that. So what I then went to is that very quickly the next step. And the next step is you're using your own insights, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you're
It continues to grow. It continues to grow with each person.
until then the final level is when you actually innovating and you're bringing new concepts and new ideas and everything into the industry. And that's when it gets really, really exciting. And that is just, that's a journey. It's a natural progression. And I can see there's a lot of people out there who are doing that first step, and kudos to them. And pretty soon they'll get on to the next one, the next level, where they're actually using their own insights, their own case studies, their own sort of like, oh, I wonder if, and go and do a bit of a delve and sort of come up with something and package it up in a unique way that, suits them and their style and all the rest of it. And that's so exciting to watch. I mean, I've watched gazillions, well, not maybe not gazillions. I've watched a lot of thought leaders come up like that, and it's, to me, it's exciting, because the one thing they all share is that love of the email industry,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to make it a better place, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's when it came time for me to take it on the road or to up my ante and move to the next level, and I realized I don't know what that next level is, and I let it ride for about 10 years, and the podcast was the next level.
Right.
My masterclass was the next level. It's different, and it was my way of pivoting into that space.
But
Right?
I think that's also how it is in email, though. It's
Yes.
like what I was saying about formula. There is no one formula to anywhere. There's no one formula. You have to do this, then you have to do that, then you have to do that, right? You do it, and as long as you make it, as long as you are true to you and you
Right.
make it your own, then that's it. Done and dusted, And
Right.
that's what I absolutely love about seeing everyone and how different they are as speakers and how different they are as writers as well. And
Right.
their different takes. So, yeah.
I also think that there's something about email marketing. I might be wrong. It may be just it may be my definition, but there's somewhat of the solopreneur or the free, independent thinking of the email marketer, where it's not just a job I go to, I do it, and it's 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and I go home. There's something else there, and I could be wrong, but I've spoken with so many email marketers over lots of time, and they're dreaming up their next job.
Mm-hmm.
They're not waiting for the opportunity. Some people are waiting for the opportunity. There are always going to be those. But I find that within email marketing, we're creating our next job.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I'll speak to somebody who's in email marketing and they're saying, it's time for me to go into media buying. I want to do the media buying end of it. I want to get more involved in marketing operations. I want to get and they graduate from the email marketing with that very rich soil, and they move on to the next. But that email marketing is very much a part of it. They'll be in marketing operations, but the roots are still clearly email marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess it's similar in a lot of the other digital channels, where if you're in, you're in social, you may want to go into media buying and such and such. But it's an interesting person that is in email marketing. And one of the reasons why, when a friend of mine started the masterclass for women in email marketing, and I joined a very small group, I really felt there was something there, something unusual there.
Mm-hmm.
Not just your networking group, but a way for that mindset to meet with other mindsets,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an unusual mindset. When you work as a salesperson, and somebody says, what do you do for a living? Oh, I sell plastic. But they get it. Oh, you sell plastic. Okay. Oh, I'm an email marketer. Yeah, but what do you do?
Yeah.
Nobody has a clue what you do.
But you know
And
what?
the only person who knows what you do is another email marketer.
But you know what though? I think you touched on it. During this conversation, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. So, because I've written articles and spoken before about pragmatists and purists within email marketing. Okay. The majority of marketers, I think, are pragmatists. And there are a few purists out there. So, like, this is how you do it, and that's it, and bottom line, and everything. And, there's a lot of limitations there. But most of us are there. And when you are that pragmatist, as you said, right? That means that you generally are a troubleshooter as well. For you to be a pragmatist, you need to make things work. And when you think about email marketing, because there isn't that formula, because there isn't that guidebook, because every company, consumer products, everything like that, how they run the business, your processes, everything is so, so different. You have to be troubleshooting. You have to be providing those results. So I think it attracts that kind of person as well. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Then you get those people there together, and then they start talking, and it's like that excitement happens because, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had that issue. This is what I did. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. So if I did, so all of these wonderful conversations happen, and I think that's because of that mind, because that is one of the things I know, that I'm a troubleshooter. To go in, and and that's why clients call me in, because they're like, we can't change the C-suite's mind, or we have limitations with either processes or tech or whatever. And I come on in, I go, okay, well, here we go. Here's a workaround. Because I come in and I actually haven't got those limitations in my mind. I haven't got those restrictions. And then I say, this is what you should do. And then C-suite says, well, we're paid this consultant money. We better listen to her. And then, you know what? It happens, right? And I can't tell you the feeling that, that's so good. I've now made a team of marketers, email marketers' life so much better. I've made the consumer's life so much better, and I'm making more money for the business. So,
And there you go.
you know,
Isn't that a beautiful place?
and I think that is one of the traits of many, many email marketers that I've come across. That, we none of us like challenges. Well, no, I lie. I do actually. I like challenges.
If there's not a problem, I will create one to fix.
Oh no,
I'll find a problem. I got to fix this. I
that's
got to fix this problem.
important, right? Oh, gee.
It's just the way I am. I fix stuff.
Yeah.
Fix stuff, fix people, fix things. I fix it up. And as I said, if there's no project, I'll dream one up.
Right.
So I cannot see myself ever retiring. I can't see it because I'll be like, okay, so I'm not working for somebody now. I'll just make stuff up as I go.
Yeah.
And I will make stuff up as I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. Everyone always says, I can't, what's going to happen? Because, you and I are of a similar age, right? So retirement is getting closer. And it's sort of like I'm making plans for it, so long-term plans, right? Not, not around the corner. And at the same time, I'm still going, I cannot ever see me not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost like an addiction. I just,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in the most, it's not the most, but a wonderful, wonderful, relaxing, beach life, everything like this, where most of my friends don't work, and all they do is just go to restaurants and go to beaches and have a nice life. And I go, well, that's nice for them, but no, I need challenges. I need something to do. I need those problems to resolve. Otherwise, yeah, yeah.
I belong to an historical club, and guess what I do for the historical club? I belong to a gardeners club, and guess what I do for the gardeners club? I belong to a civic association, and guess what I do for the civic association? So it's just like if I'm not working at it, I'm giving it away,
Yeah,
literally giving it away
yeah,
because I love it.
yeah, exactly. That's
I
it.
love it, and I think that way. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but hey, it floats my boat,
Yeah,
and it's worked so far. I almost I almost think it's a gift.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, that's why you're in the industry for so long and so successful, right?
My father once said, he didn't necessarily say that you had to love what you worked, but he's always said, if you love what you work, it's not work.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's it. It's true. Yeah.
So I never have once I started working email marketing, I never Sunday would say, "Oh God, tomorrow's Monday. I got to go back to work." That never happened.
I've never had that. I've never
Never
had that.
happened.
I don't
I'm like,
understand.
"Oh, good. I get to work on this project. It's almost like a toy. Ooh, I get to play with my toys.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I get to see if this is going to work. Ooh, I can't wait. I get to find out how this, how the analytics worked on this weekend's campaign. Ooh, I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the analytics on. I'm drinking coffee, looking at analytics, having, having having an email marketing orgasm, and no one understands me. To the day that my husband died, he had no idea what I did for a living. He would always say, "Just go to your office. Just go to your office." I don't know. Go have a good time. It is wonderful. I'm so glad that I had this time to talk with you and share you with everyone else. If I'm sure people can find you, but tell people where they could find you.
Okay, so you can find me at holisticemailmarketing.com. We have a lot of articles there in the blog. I do training as well. We do in-house training. I'm also starting up some new online courses training. And we also have Email and More, which is a video podcast that happens once a month with lots of different brand panelists and everything. It's really, really good. So you can come and find me there. I'm on LinkedIn, Kath Pay, Twitter, Kath Pay. Just, you know,
That's a pretty simple name. I can't imagine people are
yeah,
going to be able to
no,
forget that one.
really easy.
With a K, okay,
Yeah,
just in case.
okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me, Joy. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love having chats with you. We need to do this more often. Maybe
I
not.
think so. I think so. When you're in New York, we have to figure something out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and thank you, Kath Pay, and have a good one.
Okay.